I'm Roger Hart. I'm here at Automobile Metal Shaping in beautiful Kimball, Michigan. We're revisiting a project where we were at in December with the beginning of the coach building process of a 1939 Bugatti Type 64. Now what's interesting is this chassis was built in 1939, but there was never a body on it. Peter Mullen of the Mullen Museum in California has paid to have this car built.
We saw this car back at Pebble Beach, I believe in 2002 on the lawn. And by April of 2003, Peter was the proud, lucky owner of it. Our whole concept and idea with this project was to have it a learning tool. In the museum, we've got an area where we're going to have the buck set up, we'll have the chassis set up, and we'll also have the body next to it.
People should know this is a solid mahogany wooden buck, which is the way they did it back in the 30s, the old coach building days.
Yeah, and of course in those days they didn't use the digital tools that we have today, but craftsmen would have done body lofting drawings and all the views with sections, and they would have, hand shaped all the mahogany bits. We used, of course, some digital tools today. These are milled on a 5-axis mill, and all of these mahogany sections are water jet cut to our database.
So now, as we see, there's no body panels left here because they've moved over to the chassis, which is really the exciting part of this whole process.
We've been doing parallel activities up to now, all the skin being built on the mahogany body buck, and then on the chassis, all the inner structure that'll support that skin.
Talk about the structure here, the spine structure.
Yes, as you can see, this structure that is over the engine is a beautiful sort of aircraft spar that's tapered, and there'll be lightning holes in it. As it moves up through the windshield, you can see the spine structure moves all the way through the center of the vehicle. It'll be beautifully riveted together.
And the rivets will be sort of finished off on the bottom, but they'll be exposed on the top.
Yep, you'll see the rivets, a path of rivets every 40 millimeters or so along each side of this spine down the center of the vehicle.
And again, that's all to add to help to that structural rigidity that's going to be needed to lift this whole piece off.
Yep, and very much period aircraft construction.
All right, let's walk back to the boot here and take a look at what's going on back here.
We made the decision early on in the program thinking that we may not even have a functional boot. Just to keep the shell light as a work in progress and to be able to remove the body to keep it very light. But as we went along, Peter brought up the point, what about an absence of detail back here? And as we thought about it, he was absolutely right. Just the beautiful closure line and the sense of detail that a car in this era would have had, and access for the spare tire makes sense to have it.
Roger, the deck lid is going to fit on here.
Oh, it's just perfect.
To follow the exact body line of the car. And so once we decided to do this, because it would only make sense that a car like this would have a spare tire, we integrated it and then made enough room that the spare tire would fit in there. Then once we looked at it with the lid off, we realized that we had to do some floor treatment inside of here. Mike and his guys have done an amazing and very thoughtful treatment inside the trunk here.
Well, talk a little bit about what Peter's got in mind for the car in the museum and how this fits into the collection.
The beauty about the way we're designing this car is we're going to be able to put the body onto the chassis, bolt it on here, drive it out of the museum, put it in a truck, take it to a show, park it on the lawn, take the body off of it, put it on a dolly next to the car at a show, just to show people the beauty of the chassis as well as the amazing work that Mike's done on this body.
All right, what do you got here around the sides here, Webb?
Well, what we've done is we've really tried to follow the theme of what Bugatti would have done back in the day, and followed a lot of cues from the like the Atlantic and like the Type 57 front fenders. These are really staple designs of Bugatti. The sizing is great. Pleased with the windows, how the windows are going to be done. The hood's a good length. It's really come together very, very nicely.
And plus, on the profile view, you can still see the chassis underneath it.
Yes, which is really one of the things we always wanted to do, was over here when you could stand back, because the chassis is one of the most beautiful parts of the car. I mean, that's one of the reasons they didn't build a body for this car for 70 years, is because the chassis, the duraluminum chassis was so spectacular. So one of the things we wanted to pay ode to was being able to see some of the rivets and how that engineering was done underneath there. And when that chassis is polished, it's gonna really stand out.
All right, what is going on inside here, inside of the hood?
What we did originally when Stuart did the clay model is we had two sets. Both sides were a little different. One had 9 louvers on it and one had 12. And aesthetically, the 12 looked a lot better. So we've chosen to go with the 12 louvers on the side of the hood.
All right, Mike, now you've been at this for what, 5 months, 6 months now, pretty hard?
Yeah.
So you got 5 guys now that are working pretty much every
Full-time.
day, full
Yep.
time.
When you come from a buck and start setting to a chassis, you're always concerned about, you know, how well it's going to set up, you know, but it's setting up well.
This is just spectacular, and I'm looking forward to coming back in a couple of months to really see the finished product before it gets shipped out to the West Coast.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very exciting to see this at that stage. It's a very exciting project, so we're looking forward to it. Good.
Catch all the latest auto enthusiast news at AutoWeek.com, in AutoWeek Magazine and iPad Edition. Talk with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at AutoWeek USA.